Welcome everyone, my name is Jared Bornagle, and this is M&M Chat, a show where I sit down with whoever the heck is willing to give me an hour of their time as we discuss their experiences with TTRPGs, maybe their creative projects, and whatever else we want to talk about. And today is definitely one of those, as we're going to be discussing a pretty taboo topic with my guest, and that is Dungeons & Dragons 4th Edition. So I am joined by my friend Vale, a longtime listener of the podcast and Twitter friend, and, you know, some might even say a little bit more than a Twitter friend. Vale, if you want to go ahead, say hi and introduce yourself, floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Vale. I don't have like a podcast or a brand or anything other than my goofy Knoll Twitter account. I really enjoy 4th edition, which is why Jared has gathered me today. I think that's it.
That's all it needs to be, so yeah, that's fine. Not everyone has to be special. You know what? We're just going to have a damn good time, and that's all that matters. So generally how I like to kick things off here is just kind of get to know what your experience is with Dungeons & Dragons. I mean, how did you get into D&D in the first place? 4th edition is my home system. It's the one I grew up playing. I got the books in like 7th grade because I'm that young. My grandpa gave me the books for Christmas because my dad saw I was very interested in his D&D books when he was playing 3.5. And so I'm a second generation D&D player, even though I never played with my dad because he never played 4th edition. In fact, I was told not to talk about 4th edition with him, like the mechanics of 4th edition, because he just hated the idea of it. So, like, I had an easier time coming out as gay to him than I did coming out as a 4th edition player. But isn't it kind of your grandpa's fault that you started with 4th edition?
Yeah, it is my grandpa's fault. He just got me the current edition D&D books. My uncle tried his best to get me into 3.5, but all he bought me was the monster manual. So I just had a blast looking at all the cool monsters in the 3.5 monster manual and like reading the text. And I still have no idea how spells work in 3.5 or anything, but I saw all the spell-like abilities. I'm like, oh, this gold dragon can cast Wish. What if I wrote a story, like a 7th grade story, not like an actual story, about my adventuring party finding a gold dragon to cast Wish? Stuff like that.
Yeah, just like more using it as a jumping point for your own, well, fantasies. I mean, that's really the same thing, just with a little bit less rules.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. A lot of people I've talked to had a very similar experience with how they get into Dungeons & Dragons. Somebody gives them a monster manual, and they just start looking through it and go, wow, there's a lot here. This is really awesome. So it's training me that when I have kids and I want them to start playing D&D, I'm not going to try and teach them the rules. I'm just going to hand them the monster manual and say, here you go, look it up, do what you want.
Yeah, a couple of my friends in middle school, when I was bringing my my D&D books to the youth center I would go to, we had like a study hour before we could get into like the video games in that youth center. And all I would do, I would not do a single bit of homework. In fact, I refused to do that from 5th grade on. I would just read my D&D books.
Wow.
And some of my friends would like look over and see like the pictures of kobolds, and they'd be like, wow, that's so cool, what are they? And I'd tell them what they were. And they're like, wow, I want to play a game with them.
You're like, if only. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I mean, when did you take the leap and actually start playing the game, though?
Pretty much a year after I got the books, I found a group of like 4 friends, and I basically rented out one of the never used computer rooms in the youth center every week, and we just played D&D together. And admittedly, I was DMing in 8th grade, so I wasn't a very good DM.
Hey, you know what? When I was in 8th grade,
I was a DM.
Yeah, when I was in 8th grade, I didn't even really know about Dungeons and Dragons. So you were a much better DM in 8th grade than I was.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome. And when you first started, I mean, did you just go straight into creating your own stories, or was there like modules that you had, or just
Never had a module in my life. The only time I've run a module was for RageCon in Reno a couple years ago.
And what did you run?
Some Curse of Strahd adventures that I have the printouts of the adventures somewhere in the storage boxes in my room. But there was one where it was like a werewolf adventure. There was one where it was a unwitting vampire adventure. I ran like three of those one-shot adventures for the convention. That was in 5th edition. I think that is the only time I've run 5th edition.
Oh, interesting. So that's kind of neat then to say you've spent most of your time doing homebrew, which, is I think oddly common. I guess it really just depends on how you get into the game in the first place. Mm-hmm. But I guess with that limited experience running from a module, how was that?
It was pretty fun when there were like random tables in some of them. Like for Curse of Strahd, the werewolf one, there was like a table of 6 things that could happen, and there were 2 tables, so that I rolled twice, and I basically just used that table for each one shot in between like the combats. Like there was an encounter where they would find a clearing in the woods, and there was like 3 straw effigies constructed, and I made everyone roll initiative, even though it didn't tell me to, because there was no combat.
Right.
And I started making everyone roll wisdom saving throws, and people who failed, I'd go over and whisper in their ear like what they're afraid of.
So was there anything to be afraid of?
Other than the general dread of Ravenloft, no.
Okay, I was gonna say, this sounds like just an extreme way of dicking with some players, which is fine, obviously, but...
It was fun.
Yeah,
I enjoy dicking with my players. Especially players I've never met prior.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that from doing that pre-created module and seeing kind of maybe the benefits of it, does that like interest you to ever try that, or are you still just like, nah, homebrew's for me for anything more than like this type of very specific scenario?
I don't know yet. The only modules I have are like Curse of Strahd and Ghost of Saltmarsh.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there would be interesting character things in them. I just haven't read them yet.
So there might be. Who knows?
There might be. I might mail them to a DM so they can run it for me.
That's not a bad idea.
Because all my friends are online now in this day and age. But I mostly do plan on sticking to homebrew. Like when I'm done with my current campaign, which has been going on for 4 years and is only 2/3 of the way done. I'm going to move on to 5th edition, at least for one. This is the one I'm going to podcast. It'll be in 5th edition first. And once I trap everyone with my DMing prowess and my awesome crew, I'm going to finish that campaign and then switch over to 4th edition.
Oh, okay. So they'll be like, I guess we'll learn a new system if it's for you, since you're such an amazing DM.
Yeah. I'm playing the longest con ever.
That is really long, especially since you're saying this current campaign is 4 years in, 2/3 of the way through. By my math, you've got 2 more years left. And then you're going to run another campaign, which maybe isn't going to be a whole 6 years, but let's say it's even 1 or 2. So you're talking about in 4 years, you are hoping to convert a new group to 4th edition.
Well, a viewer base to 4th edition, not necessarily a new group.
Okay, all right. That makes a little bit more sense, right? Because this group knows 4th edition at least, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What they have a lot of fun with both editions. I've just only run 4th edition, and they really, really, really love 4th edition for a lot of the same reasons I do.
Well, let's talk about some of those reasons, and maybe later we can talk about ways that you could actually convert people over to 4th edition that would work. But to start off, what are some of these main differences that you think are so important? And I'm sure, just judging off of the online discourse I have seen, that anybody listening here has only heard of 4th edition in passing and in snide remarks made by, bearded white men like myself. So, what?
And Sly Flirt, or no, wait, I don't think I can name drop people on this podcast.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Okay. They're not going to hear it. But
cut that out.
No. I'm leaving it. So tell me though, what is it about 4th edition that draws you in so much?
I love the fact that everyone has some method of doing something on the battlefield. Like fighter, as much of a DPS class as it is in 5th edition, unless you're a battle master, all you're doing is hitting things the entire combat. 4th edition isn't afraid to be a combat game. It does have some rules for role playing, and it does have one of the best dungeon master's guides in D&D, I'm told, after reading both 4th and 5th edition DMGs. Everyone has powers, and everyone has like limited use powers. Like a fighter could have a power they use once per encounter that does more damage and then trips the person and they fall prone, and any fighter can have that power. Or they could also have a bell ringer power that they hit someone and it dazes them, so they can only do 1 out of 3 actions in a turn.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. So that idea of powers, they're almost like miniature feats that everybody's getting, and they're getting all the time.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see how that helps differentiate martial characters a little bit more. Maybe even potentially bridges the gap between spellcasters and martials. Yeah,
it is certainly the most balanced edition out of all of them, because fighters have basically the same allotment of powers as wizards. They all have, at first level, 2 at-wills, 1 encounter, 1 daily power. So they all have like a really powerful, really limited power. They all have a power that they can use once a fight. And they all have different things they can do whenever they want.
Okay.
And they all have differences. Like, you're not going to get much range out of a fighter, but a wizard's got spells that he can sling from like 20 squares away.
Right. Okay. So I get that. It's making some differences there. Now, I will say you might be upsetting some people by just throwing out that it's the most balanced edition. You might want to fix your phrasing there, because I'm sure there's going to be blood wars over that.
Oh, I stand by it wholeheartedly. Have you seen the 4 Elements, Monk? Oh, wait, you have. You're the one who told me about it.
Yeah. I think at this point it's safe to say that you can throw out the player's handbook and you'd be better off for it when it comes to class balance in 5th edition.
Yeah.
That's my hot take, is like there's probably like 4 or 5 good subclasses in that. It's like across the board.
I stand by Champion Fighter being the most fun fighter.
Oh, I love the concept of it. I mean, it's just, sometimes the really simple characters, it's just like, you spin them up in 5 minutes and you're like, what do you do? It's like, I attack. Every single turn, I attack. And I'm going to be a dick about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why barbarians have been around for as long as they have.
There's a reason why every barbarian dips 3 levels into champion fighter.
Probably for that brutal critical.
Yeah, right.
Perfect. So I think what we're going to be doing a lot of today is talking about those powers, and I definitely want to touch on those more, because one of the goals of this, if we end up getting around to it, we'll see, is actually building a character for me. Now, admittedly, we've been deceiving you slightly up to this point, listener, just ever so slightly, as this is not the first time we've had this conversation. This exact conversation, no, but we tried recording about a month ago, and there were some technical issues on somebody's side, and we had to scrap the episode. But we also found out that making a 4th edition character while recording a podcast is just a lot of numbers. So luckily this time around, we got past most of the numbers, and now we can get into more of the fun power choice, and really that's what I think we'll be focusing on, is a lot of talk of what these powers are. If you want a detailed breakdown of how to play 4th edition, this probably isn't the podcast to do it. But I'm sure there's YouTube videos that you can go find and leave me alone.
I'm available.
Or
24/7.
Okay, there you go.
I'm available 24/7.
All right, so if you
Hit
need
me up and I will tell you.
If you need to learn how to play 4th edition, you go on to Twitter and contact HolyCaGnolli, and the Knoll part spelled with a G. There'll be a link.
Yeah. So we already did your stats. I think you did standard array. I didn't mention to you that you can go above 20 in any stat. Just good luck doing that at level 7.
Yeah, that's fine.
And your stats are pretty well balanced. We do have to get into the feats as well. There's a lot of feats, so you can just hand the reins over to me and I'll tell you what I give you.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So even before we start, picking apart powers and stuff, let's talk about what we have made so far, even if it's just a quick summary. And I think to do that, it'd be smart of us to touch back all the way back to your world, and the world that this current 4th edition campaign is in, and that way it'll make sense where my character might fit in as well, because really that's what we're all here for, right? The fun and the flavor. So let's start there. Let's give me a brief overview of what your world is, and what's the main point of conflict.
So the gist of the world is that in an age past, there was a party of 8 legendary adventurers who mostly came from a ruined civilization, and they did adventuring things. This is one of my old games that basically got pushed into the future, but they eventually killed Tiamat and Vecna with the points of light setting gods. And the world has known peace up until this point, while these 8 adventurers basically reforged the fallen country that one of them was the prince of. And there's been a lasting peace between basically 2 major empires in this setting, up until the point where my current campaign started, in which there was subterfuge and outright attacks coming from a Knoll fanatic cult, I guess, devoted to the god that replaced both Tiamat and Vecna.
Those are some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, well, he's a black dragon Draco Lich, so he can do a lot of cool stuff with both of their powers combined.
Okay. Yeah, because you're Tiamat and, Lich is just Vecna, just not powerful enough, so let's just smash them together.
Yeah, I find that really fun, putting 2 gods into one body.
I like it. It's a good start.
And so it started off as just this kind of good versus evil fight, but there were a lot of NPCs that were very gray that the party has universally tried to redeem every time they realized they could redeem evil people. Right. So, yeah, there's a lot of NPCs that have been working with following of this dragon god that they've redeemed, that they have taken away from his clutches, and they have kind of rehabilitated, they've become friends with, basically. It's just a whole campaign of making evil friends, including the Exarch of this god.
The Exarch? I'm sorry, I'm not even familiar with that term.
It's a I think it's a term only in 4th edition. I'm not sure, but I got the term from like the from the core rule books. It's basically the god's hand in the natural world. So it's almost like a pope, except this guy's a paladin, so he's a warrior pope in essence.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That the real pope should be a warrior. Which I know they're not fighting too many wars these days, which is definitely for the best, but like I still want it to be just somebody absolutely jacked and still wearing the giant hat.
My brain combined Pope and Paladin into one word, Popadin.
Yes, I want to Pope it in. Or Palapope.
Palapope.
Yeah, just because it's more fun to say.
Yeah, a lot of P's.
Okay, so your party, are they taking them away from this evil mindset, or are they just getting them as friends and saying like, hey, you're evil, but we can be buds still?
They're trying to take them away from the mindset, and that's mostly worked until the Exarch, who's got a lot of fucked up shit going on with him.
Yeah, I would kind of assume that the Palapope of an evil god would be
a null Palapope too.
Yeah, that's not somebody that you just have like a 10-minute conversation with and they're like, wow, I've been really messing up my life, haven't I?
Yeah, and they've gotten to the major twist of the campaign in which they were following a fledgling goddess who decided that she was the goddess of trust, like the virtue of trusting people. And
how did she get that role? Did she just go around telling everybody like, I'm the goddess of trust, trust me?
Pretty much, yeah. And it was pretty much just the party she was out there with.
Okay.
So she was immediately really sketchy, but she had just the right personality to click with the party up until the point where they got her the 8 orbs of dragonkind, and then she did this ritual to not elevate herself to Tiamat's old position, but to draw on the power of Tiamat's domain and summon Falazure, the black dragon god.
And did the party know this was happening, or are they just like, well,
they heard,
we trust her, so
they heard like ominous Latin chanting that I was giving clues for, and they're like, okay, we need to go investigate that, as she was doing the ritual. And then they discovered that they could no longer pass the arcane barrier that she put up and told them she put up a long time ago. And so they're like, oh shit, what's happening? So they find a secret entrance into the cave, and the Exarch created a lot of undead to just not fight them and kill the party, because he quite likes the party now, because of the reformation they were doing to him, just to stop them from interrupting the ritual. And so basically, because of their actions, they have ended the world in a way.
Nice. Well, no better way to create buy-in into saving the world than them being the direct reason why the world is ending.
Yeah, right. It's like an undead apocalypse right now. I really resonate with the villain. I always resonate with the villains in any media I watch. I don't think my god is in the wrong. He's just going about it in the wrong way.
So is that like a metaphor for yourself? Like you're like, I do everything in the worst way possible.
Yes.
That's the only reason you're relating to them all, right? It only makes sense.
Well, So the god's main conflict is that he was born under this star in which the soul of every dead god gets sucked into and gives power to the star. It's like and the star contains an actual cosmic horror. It's like an egg for this cosmic horror. And so he was plagued by visions of this star ever since he was born. And when he became the god of secrets, he understood what the visions were and what it all meant, and he gained prophecies about himself, that he is going to be the last fallen god that this star needs in order to birth the cosmic horror. So he's living his life trying to turn everyone undead so he can gain enough power to enter the far realm and destroy the star, and as well as every aberration that lives in the far realm. If you're familiar with the far realm.
Not particularly, no, not to that extent.
It is also full of cosmic horrors. It's where the foul spawn come in. I think they're a foul spawn in 5th edition. It's like an alien.
I think they call them Star
world.
Spawn.
Yeah,
they call them Star Spawn.
Star Spawn too. It's like a corrupting alien world. It's where the gibbering mouthers come from, and the and mind flayers. I think at least mind flayers have come there in my world because they're pretty vile and corruptive. Aberrant in 4th edition is a meaning of saying which creatures come from the far realm.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like this. Yeah, like I said, it's this alien and evil world.
And so the attempt is here for this god to then wipe out all of those aberrations.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why you're saying it's a noble goal. It's not like a bad thing. Everybody would probably agree, like, yeah, those things suck. We don't want them around. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if we all want to just give up our souls in purpose to that.
Mm-hmm. It is kind of silly, though, because he gave the party 3 wishes, and as soon as he could fulfill the wishes, he had the power to fulfill... Or as soon as they gave the wishes, he had the power to fulfill them, because he's a god. And one of their wishes was to turn some of the party members that got turned into undead. Still sentient party members. They just had, like one of them was a dragonborn, and they kind of had a different way to use their dragon breath as an undead. So it was just like a cosmetic change for the most part, but they were following him ultimately. So they wished for him to turn them from undead back to the living. And so he's like, so you agree I have the power to do that, right? And they're like, yeah. And they haven't thought much about it. But the fact that he can turn undead back to life is why the most damning piece of evidence that I don't think he's wrong. Just to turn everyone undead temporarily to destroy an ultimate evil.
Yeah. I mean, like, as the DM, as the storyteller, I feel like there has to be some reason why that's actually bad. Because otherwise, you could just kind of convince everybody, like, yeah, we'll kill you all. It'll be like, 20 minutes. I got to do what I got to do. And then I'm going to bring you back. And, like, of course, something bad is going to happen from there.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, the major question is he going to do that once he basically controls everyone? Which, I don't know if he would do that. I don't know if he would resurrect everyone. Because he kind of likes being at the top of the heap.
Okay. So then, I mean, that's like, that could spin up an entire campaign by itself, because maybe the party recognizing this and viewing themselves as noble and willing to do the right thing, maybe they try to, like, put all of these pieces together, but instead of the dragon having the power at this semi end of Evangelion moment. Instead, they get to be the ones who begin instrumentality and hold power so that way they can choose, like, no, afterwards, instead of living as undead or Tang, however it works out in this, they decide to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe force the dragon to, because they're like, we've already got control of the undead. You don't have the power here.
Right.
I'm just spitballing here how I could see that going.
No, yeah,
I don't know what the heck
ideas.
you've got planned.
I love those ideas. I love any ideas that come my way. Like the idea for the cosmic horror came from a picture I saw on Twitter. And because I'm not streaming my game, I can just steal the image. Well, not really steal. I left the credit in the artwork, and I will credit the artist when I drop the image of the final boss in the chat.
Well, there you go. That's perfectly reasonable. But I get that. Like, I'll often just, if I need like an image or something for my campaign to paint a picture, I just Google it and try and find something similar. And I just think, like, I'm really glad I'm not doing a official game. This is literally something I'm saying, like, showing to my friends and saying, hey, it's kind of like this. Somebody already made this, so here you go.
Yeah. And it's not even me looking for this stuff. I just accidentally find this stuff, and I'm like, damn, that's inspiring.
Well, that's even better, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Like, someone in a Discord server I'm in drew a Dragonborn with 5 eyes, one for each head of Tiamat. And I turned that into an NPC in my game, and he's really kooky.
I feel like if you told me there was a Dragonborn with 5 eyes that represent Tiamat's heads, I wouldn't immediately go, I bet they're super kooky.
Yeah. But I did that. I went there.
Well, it's your game. No one can stop you. And that's truly the point, isn't it?
Just wait until my next campaign. I had the idea because there's the word ensorcel, which is like it follows the same lines as an enchantment, like an enchantment wizard, like enchanting someone magically, I guess. I'm not good at explaining definitions, but there's that word ensorcel, and I'm like, you know what? How could I make this a word my players hate? So I took the word sorcerer, except I turned it into the sorcerer. And this is going into my streamed game. So my entire viewing audience is going to be upset by his name.
I like how you're making these people upset before they're even around.
I know.
Like, you have a goal in mind. That's going to be your hook, too. Just like, hey, come watch my stream. You'll just get mad about, like, everything.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. If we weren't making people mad, we probably would have half the audience we do now. So
right.
It's got to get them a little bit upset. Gets the people going.
I get mad every time you bring up Booming Blade. Not because I'm mad at you guys, but because I'm mad at Booming Blade because of you guys.
You're welcome. And reminder to everybody, fuck Booming Blade. All right, so I think one of the things that's always been interesting to me about your world and, admittedly about your persona online is you have an obsession with gnolls, a creature that I don't think is generally loved. I wouldn't say they're disliked by any means. They're really cool as enemies, but you've taken it a couple of steps further and made them a major, major race in your game.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. What do you love about gnolls so much?
I just think they're my funky little demon dudes, I love their eternal hunger, that they're just like always hungry, which naturally means they're the best cooks out of any race. They can't eat raw meat, but they're blessed in the kitchen. Just make sure you tell them your dietary restrictions, and they just might follow them.
So is that actually something that's a major part of your world, is that gnolls are cooks?
No, they're not cooks. In 4th edition, gnolls were not like universally evil. In basically an Unearthed Arcana, a Dragon magazine, they did become playable characters. And in some of the books, even though it was never like official content, in one of the books they do feature a gnoll PC, like in one of the core rule books.
Oh, okay.
But gnolls in this setting, Not in the next setting in my 5e game. This setting specifically, they are pretty much all evil. It's just for the exarch of the dragon god, who kind of ascended his demonic role in the world and became something greater. That he sees himself as a savior rather than a destroyer.
So where does the Gnoll connection come in there?
Or
is this exarch a Gnoll?
He is a Gnoll.
Oh, okay. You may have already said that. Sorry, a lot of info swimming around here.
Right.
Okay, so in that the exarch then has them, or is then leading the rest of these Gnolls because of that.
Yeah. And some of his Gnolls have also converted. Some of them are just following him because he is really fucking strong.
Sure.
Pardon my language.
It's fine.
I didn't take this for a kid podcast anyway.
No, if there's any kids, just turn this episode the fuck off, because we're not stopping.
Right.
But no, if you're actually listening with kids around, I'm really sorry. Maybe I should bleep those.
Kevin, get on it.
Kevin doesn't edit these.
Oh, okay, so it's all
This is all me. All my effort.
Right on.
All right, so we've got Gnolls in this setting, and most of them are working for the exarch. Do you have any that are working against them, or is it all just basically like a best example I have is in the 5th edition lore of how like orcs are of following groups just because he like whispers in their heads. Is it like kind of a similar vein with the Gnolls here, or do they have their own free will? They just choose to follow him.
It's pretty much like that. That if most of them are hearing whispers and dreams from Yeenoghu, Kithrudiak's the only one who's not. Kithrudiak being the exarch. Sorry to add a name to it.
That's all right.
But the exarch gets basically a direct pipeline to his god. All the other Gnolls either get Yeenoghu or they just choose chaos. And what was I gonna say? What was the question?
Basically, do they have a choice in this matter?
They do have a choice. They do have a predisposition because of how their demon lord affects them. But ultimately, they do have a choice. Like your character has a choice.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that was what... Hey, we'll call that a good segue into my character. So this all really started because Vale wanted to run a one-shot for me in 4th edition in order to convert me, which... I mean,
I wouldn't say convert, just enlighten you.
Enlighten. Okay, that's perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. So as we mentioned before, we kind of talked about the character. We did a little bit of spitballing. Seeing as I've forgotten half of it, Vale can fill in the blanks. But as I understand, was going to be a Gnoll Ranger Beastmaster, because they're actually not too bad in 4th edition, so I hear.
Yeah, they're not the most viable ranger in 4th edition, but 4th rangers are the top of the top in the meta.
Right.
So you're not missing out on a lot.
Sure. So, I guess you walk me through what we've already come up with. I'll say that I don't remember enough to talk about it intelligently. So what is my character? Okay. What are we doing?
So you chose the name Deliverer for your Gnoll.
What a badass name.
Right. And it reminds me of a movie I've never seen. But
is it Deliverance?
No.
I think that's a movie.
Basically any movie in which the protagonist is delivering something.
Oh, okay. So like literally any courier style movie. Got it.
Yeah. So like you said, Gnoll Ranger. You used standard array, 16 strength, and up to level 7, so we increased the stats a little bit. 16 strength, 14 constitution, 14 dexterity, 10 intelligence, 16 wisdom, 12 charisma, which is really well balanced.
That's what I'm after. Love me some balance.
Gave him +2 armor and items. So AC and Fortitude is 19, Reflex and Will is 18, which is really middle of the road, which is really good. You're not bad. You're not bad at any defense. It's like having +3 in all your saving throws.
That would actually be pretty awesome.
It would be, yeah.
So okay. All right, so we got a very balanced character. That's what we've got so far.
And then for skill trainings, you chose athletics, dungeoneering, endurance, nature, and stealth. Dungeoneering being like navigating underground tunnels or dungeons in general, as well as foraging in the Underdark, and also knowledge on aberrations.
Ooh, and now I know why I would have, or why I'd want knowledge on aberrations.
Yeah.
I think before that was just a random choice.
Oh, and because he's a Gnoll, he does have a +2 in Intimidate.
Nice. Yeah, and skills in this are definitely quite different, where it's not like in 5th edition, where you're just proficient or not proficient. You can have these like random buffs to the skill. Like with Intimidate, as you said, it's just a +2. That's not like a half my level or something. It's just, there you go, there's +2.
Yeah. And we chose a backstory bonus for you. I think you also got +2 in endurance as a Gnoll, and then your backstory bonus, you put +2 into diplomacy, because if the other party members are not Gnolls, there's going to be a discussion about whether they should kill you and your tiger.
Right.
And you want to have the authority in the matter.
Yeah, which is usually good when trying to convince people not to kill you. And I think that'll be, I guess, one of the things that interested me about this concept as a character is that your hope was that this would be joining along with a normal party not filled with Gnolls, correct?
Right.
So talk to me what you had in mind. Talk to me about what you had in mind for like that interaction, that initial, I guess we'll even say just overall quest.
My anticipation is that they're going to present themselves like they're on this quest to kill the villain of this one shot, who is a villain in my campaign that escaped, and that there's no reason that my core party is going to have anything to do with him anymore. So I'm just going to tie up this loose thread in a one shot with you guys.
Okay.
And so he is also the enemy of the Exarch, and you are most likely going to be working with this Exarch. So when you see, or when the Exarch informs you that there is this party going to defeat one of his enemies, that you're going to tag along with them and help them kill him.
Okay, I love this. I love this setup because right from the start, I get to come in and, really decide on how honest I want to be. Because, realistically, just coming in and saying, "Hey, I work for the Exarch. Let's hang out together. Let's get this done," might not be the best way to approach it. But coming up and saying, "Hey, look, we've got similar goals, and you'll have to trust me on that," and only giving more info as they poke and prod. I would love that.
Yeah, and you said that you wanted to be like one of the ascended Gnolls that does actually worship the dragon god.
Yeah.
So I'll put that in your deity section.
Nice.
In your character.
We're gonna kill all the aberrations.
Yeah. And so, where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So you might choose to be very secretive about what you know. That it's kind of like a fight to get information out of you. And with 4th edition, there are mechanics for monster knowledge checks that can tell you stuff like resistances and vulnerabilities, or their powers in combat.
Okay.
So,
and that's kind of fitting, in my opinion, for a ranger, at least of what I think of as a ranger.
Mm-hmm. That you have proficiency in about half of the monster knowledge skills, nature and dungeoneering. So you will most likely have some information about the monsters you encounter. And it'd be really funny if you were really secretive about that information, but you did know it. So it's like they hit you with a fireball. You're like, oh yeah, be careful about that.
No, I think
don't crowd together, you say, as you and your tiger are 10 squares away.
Right. I think one of the ways to play these I'll say deceitful characters is when you are showing that you're extremely useful. Like the second you get into combat, and maybe like, you run it however you want, but I can see situations where the party is going back and forth. Like, do we want to travel with this person? They seem really, really weird. And like, there's definitely something up here. And then an ambush happens and this character, gives this useful information and of course holds their own in the fight, but more importantly, fills in a area that nobody else has. And there becomes this like, oh man, that might have gone a lot worse if we didn't have that person here. So
right.
I guess we can trust them a little bit. They didn't just kill us when we were weak afterwards. So
that's how I played the Exarch in one of his forms while the party was trying to redeem him. It's that they constantly didn't want him to talk to Falazure when they went through a mega dungeon towards the end of the second arc. But he constantly did, and he's constantly giving this really good information about the dungeon. Like, okay. He's useful, they just don't like how he's being useful.
Right. It, like, puts them in an uneasy situation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Falazure is the dragon god. Sorry to use a name again.
I think it was the same name, so I think you get a pass there.
Right.
But yeah, for like at least 3 or 4 times you have to say Falzure, the dragon god.
Yeah.
All right, so perfect. And one of the things that I remember we talked about, but I definitely was not, sticking with too much of the reasoning why, but the Beastmaster aspect, because I really want to play Beastmaster. That much I'm locked into. But when we were looking through the different options, I was like, let's do cat. I want a tiger because, it's a cat with the gnolls, and gnolls are kind of like hyenas, and they're different. So I like that. but I don't know if we came up with more of a reason as to why this mysterious figure would have a tiger with them.
No, we did come up with a reason, because the wife of the Exarch owns a pet tiger, and in fact, when she went undercover in the city that the party started out in, she was a beast tamer and a beast master, trainer. So she would give adventurers their beast companion. She'd go out in the woods and find them something and pair them with each other. And she was also like a pet shop as well.
Oh, okay. And so was she a gnoll?
No, she's not.
Okay.
She is a shifter.
Okay, but there still is like this connection to the Exarch where I could see my character being a loyal, devout follower, saying like, okay, I can walk in those footsteps and kind of be adjacent to this.
Definitely.
Yeah, and more than anything, it's just going to be really weird if anybody sees me. And I think the other thing that I liked about it was when trying to convince a group of people that you're not like other gnolls. I'm not like other gnolls. Having this tiger might be, unless that's common knowledge that it's the wife of the Exarch who, hands these out. To them, it might be a little bit like, whoa, like where's this coming from? I would expect something different.
It is not common. Actually, that might go into the timeline. I'm pretty sure that the party uncovered her allegiance, and so she had to flee the city.
Oh, okay. So they knew
common knowledge that in the city that she was nefarious.
Okay. Well, then you know what? They probably won't put two and two together, and if they do, great.
And this is going to be a one-shot with other, not my main party, I think.
Yeah.
So they might not have the connection in the game, but I might put that into like a history check with a very high DC.
Sure. And again, if they figure it out, then that's fine. You know, just I think it'll be interesting because at the end of the day, it's a one shot, and I think everybody's usually on the same page that like the point of this is we're playing together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they'll like get the information and be like, well, okay, you know, I guess we have the same goals, so this is fine, but boy, sure as heck won't, you know, be in a room alone with you.
Yeah, it's like the whole hodgepodge of different people that we had near one shot.
Exactly.
Oh, Flint Meadswood was such a good character idea.
Yeah, Flint Meadswood, the cowboy monk who loved horses.
Yeah.
I loved Flint Meadswood.
He was great.
All right, so I now it's coming back to me. I've got a pretty good idea of how I would play this character, and it really is just edge on top of edge, which isn't my normal style. So that I like it. I like switching it up.
It's good to venture out. And
exactly.
You like criticizing subclasses on your podcast of being edgy. So now I'm stopping you from making that criticism ever again.
No, you're not. I'll just come in and say, I played an edgy character. It was dumb, and you're dumb for playing it too. But let's talk more, you know, back onto the mechanical aspect of these powers, because I think that's where this play style will start to feel really unique if what you've told me of 4th edition is true. And you wouldn't lie to me, right?
I would not lie to you about 4th edition.
About 4th edition. The stipulation is important. Other things, still on the table.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so, I mean, yeah, walk me through, because even just like looking briefly over the powers, I didn't even get how many I'm supposed to have at 7th level. There's no like pretty little table like there is in 5th edition that says, this is how many spell slots you get.
There is, I just didn't send it to you because I forgot to send it to you.
Nice.
That's my fault.
All right, well then tell me, how many powers am I getting? Because, you know, there's a lot to choose from, it seems.
So, you get 2 at-wills at 1st level, and then basically 1 of each kind of power as you reach the level to get them. So you have 1 level 1 encounter, 1 level 1 daily, and then you get into the level 2 utility powers, you get 1 of those, and so on up until 7th level, in which you get your 3rd encounter power.
Okay, and so you're saying for when you hit these levels, which are what are the levels where these come up?
All right, so level 1 is at-wills encounter daily, level 2 is utility, level 3 is another encounter, level 5 is another daily, and then level 6 is another utility, and level 7 is another encounter.
Okay, so you're basically getting something every single time.
Yeah, and when you don't get one, like level 4 is a dead level for getting powers, but that's when you get a feat.
Okay.
You get a feat every even-numbered level as well as level 1.
Boy, it's just so much to do. And honestly, as I'm seeing this, you're telling me that, I'm actually seeing exactly why people might have been turned away from this edition. Because it's like the first time you play and saying you have to play a wizard, where you have to know every single spell and you have to know exactly how this is going to play out. It's a little overwhelming.
Well, you don't know every spell as a wizard. Wizards do have the spellbook feature that lets them pick a second daily, and they can prepare one of the 2. So it is just a little bit more complicated than a first level character, or than a regular character.
Apologies, I'm saying in comparison to 5th edition, where if you start off playing 5th edition, it's like your very first character, and somebody says, "Hey, play a wizard," and also read through this entire spell book and choose, 4 or 5 spells. It's you get decision paralysis.
Yeah, and 4th edition, basically every character has a lot of decisions they can make.
Right.
But that's part of the reason why I enjoy it, because it's so adaptable. You can make whatever character with whatever gimmick you want.
Right. No, I get that. So I think what I was thinking of, and I'm going to use you to help me move towards this as a concept, is I like the idea of this being a, like kind of an ambusher, where the tiger is often used as not so much bait, but more as a distraction for the real scary thing, deliverer, to come out of the woods and absolutely ruin somebody's day. Or, even being able to switch roles when necessary, just kind of using each other as like, you're going to take the focus and the other one's going to actually deal the blow.
Yeah. Yeah, you can certainly play it like that. I think the Beast Companion has a limited number of hit points.
Right.
But your Beast Companion, you can spend healing surges to heal the Beast Companion as if it had spent a healing surge. You do have a ritual to raise it from the dead as well, which is something that 5th edition lacked initially.
No, you could. It was like a short rest, and you just like spent a spell slot, and it came back. But it was kind of weird.
And then when you use your second wind, which is a once per encounter personal healing power that you use to spend a healing surge, your Beast Companion also uses the same action.
Right. So I mean, it's not entirely defenseless by any means when it comes to HP.
Right. Let me scroll up to the HP for the cat. Yeah, it gets a pretty decent amount of HP per level. Like, it starts off with 22 HP, and you started off with, I think, 26.
Yeah.
So you guys are basically even for hit points.
Yeah, that's nothing to scoff at all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then, even just looking at kind of what's needed to be chosen, I think at one point early on here, like before a power is chosen but affects a lot of the powers, you have to choose whether you want to do like ranged or if you want to do like dual wielding.
Mm-hmm. There are some powers for rangers that don't require dual wielding.
Okay.
So you could, if you wanted to, like the Beast Master powers, you don't have to dual wield with.
Okay.
And usually you don't want to do range for Beast Master because there's just no power support for it. So you can have a ranged weapon and you can have that in your back pocket. One of my players professes in having back pocket powers that always fuck me up.
What do you mean back pocket powers?
Just powers that are useful to have in the back of your pocket that it is situational, but you can also make a situation in which you can use it and it's really effective.
Gotcha. Okay. So then it sounds like you're saying...
He loves fucking up my plans with his character. It's always something different every time. It's refreshing.
Everybody has one of those. The player who loves messing everything up.
Mm-hmm.
So then, talking about this, it sounds like the two-blade ranger is really the only option, because going the archer just doesn't seem worthwhile, it sounds like, for Beastmaster. Yeah.
I mean, I can give you a ranged weapon, and you could do like a ranged basic attack.
Yeah.
Isn't bad.
No, that's fine. I'm just trying to think of how, mechanics to affect the play style.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I have never read the Drizzt novels. Drizzt? I don't even know how to pronounce. Okay. Exactly. Like, don't put Z's in there if you want me to pronounce it out loud. That's obviously where the two-bladed ranger comes from, that like created that trope.
Yeah.
I am not going to be thinking about that at all, because I don't
think this is a Drizzt clone yet.
I mean, I don't know. I literally don't even know.
Okay. So the big problem is Drizzt is a martial ranger. So you might be a Drizzt clone.
Right, but that's basically saying that in 4th edition, since there's Archer Ranger and Two-Blade Ranger, you're either an Aragorn clone or you're a Drizzt clone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, there's obviously ways that it's differentiated past that.
Yeah.
And the Beastmaster, I think, is a big player into it, I'd assume. Unless Driz also had a tiger.
He has a figurine of a Black Panther that he can use to summon the panther.
Okay, yeah, this is just a Driz clone.
Okay.
Never mind. There it is.
If you never brought this up, I never would have told you it was a Driz clone.
That's all right. It's fine. We're gonna keep it going.
Okay.
So, let's just get to kind of some of these powers and what might be a good choice. I don't even want to talk about feats. I'm sure that's its own thing. Mm-hmm. But you tell me, if I'm trying to play like a sneaky, opportunistic ranger who's kind of trading places, maybe again back and forth with the tiger being the one to draw focus, or myself drawing focus and the tiger coming in for the attack. What would you be taking? What do you think is a good start here?
I'd say there are 3 really good powers. Are you in the martial power cut I did?
I am.
Okay. So you got 2 level 1 at-wills in this book. I'll briefly show you how to read the power. So there's the name of the power. It tells you what level it is. It gives you flavor text about the power, and then it gets into the meat of it. It says at will, because that's how often you can use it. It's got a couple keywords. The beast keyword means it involves your beast in some way. And then martial weapon you don't really have to care about.
Sure.
Standard action means it's your main action to do this attack. And then it indicates the range next to that, so melee weapon. So whatever your weapon reach is, you can use as the target of this power.
Okay.
Target one creature attack. You use basically your strength score plus your weapon bonus plus whatever other bonuses you have. You could have a feat bonus or a magic weapon enhancement bonus, which I'm definitely going to give you that one. And then versus the defense. So there's AC, Fortitude, Reflex, Will. So this one targets AC. And then we get into the hit, and then it indicates 1 W. The W stands for weapon. So whatever damage die your weapon is, you'd roll for that power, and you'd roll one of them.
Okay.
And then plus your strength mod for damage.
Okay. And then it has the effect, if there's an effect.
An effect happens hit or miss. Sometimes it will have a miss effect that only happens on a miss. But the effect happens when it's listed in the power. So this is after the attack. Well, it says effect before or after the attack, so that was kind of stupid for me to explain.
You're fine. So even I'll just read this circling strike for the folks at home, where the effect here is before or after the attack, your beast companion can shift 1 square.
And shifting is a movement that does not provoke opportunity attacks.
Interesting.
Some powers let you shift more than 1 square. You can use a move action and basically using your entire speed to shift 1 square. Just as a move action anyone can do.
Right. And so this is an at-will ability. Does that mean that this can happen just every single time an attack is made?
Whenever you spend a standard action to do it, you can do it.
Cool. Okay, and then once again, I get one of these at-wills, or...
You get 2.
2, okay. Okay, so starting off, I mean, that one seems like exactly what I was talking about of, being able to just use the 2 of us, get one into a better position, and, overall just fight in unison with my tiger bud, which is something I will say the 5th edition Beastmaster lacked significantly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you can either fight, or I guess you can have your beast fight, and you probably don't want to do both at the same time. That'd be confusing.
Mm-hmm. Wait, say that again. I was reading something else above it about beast independent actions.
Just that it feels better than the 5th edition Ranger.
Right.
So, okay, let's say Circling Strike is high on the menu. What's another one that you think would make sense to take?
I The other one in this book, Predator Strike, also uses your Beast Companion. This one, instead of being melee weapon, it's a melee Beast 1. And so your Beast is making an attack, as you can see in the attack row. And 1B does not indicate your weapon die, it indicates your Beast's weapon die. And since you picked a cat, I think it's a D8. And then plus the Beast Strength modifier, and then plus your Wisdom modifier. So you're putting the attention on you, and then your Beast Companion attacks with your, almost like your insight or whatever you'd use to inspire it to deal even more damage according to your Wisdom modifier.
Okay, so let's say that I didn't take this Predator Strike. Can I normally just take a standard action to have my beast attack? I just don't get some of these benefits and like these bonuses?
Yeah, you can command the beast to attack, and it does have a set of independent actions. The beast has a standard move and minor action, but if you're present in the encounter and don't command the beast, it has to move as far as it can toward you each round on its turn. And then once adjacent to you, the beast can act in any manner it wishes. And basically, it can, as long as it's next to you, it can attack with you, or attack on its own.
Okay, so this Predator Strike is more about like giving up your attack to let it attack.
Yeah, and it gives you more damage along with it.
Right. So it's a little bit stronger. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't want that, because I think the Circling Strike, and I'm sure there's going to be another at will somewhere here that's interesting. The Predator Strike is like, you can already do that. It's not really adding to the feeling that I'm going for. That would be really good if I was doing one where it's like the person who doesn't really have much martial prowess themselves and is allowing their beast to take most of the brunt of this. Then I could see going with that Predator Strike.
Yeah. And I should mention, your bread and butter as a ranger is your Hunter's Quarry, which you can do at will as a minor action, so bonus action.
Right.
And you place it on someone, the nearest enemy, to you or your beast companion, and then you and your beast companion, once per turn, deal extra damage to that creature.
Also a much better move than 5th edition.
Right. And it starts off as a D6. You can take a feat to turn it up to a D8.
Wow. Probably will end up doing that. But again, no feats on this. I like the powers. The powers are interesting. Okay, so, all right, great. We've got one. We've got Circling Strike. What's another at will that you think should be taken?
There are a couple in the first player's handbook. You can, in the PDFs I sent you, you could see 1 to 7 Ranger PH1.
Sure. So I'm just going to read the titles here: Careful Attack, Hit and Run, Nimble Strike, and Twin Strike.
So
go ahead.
Twin Strike is the most overpowered attack in the game.
Is it just 2 attacks?
Yes, it's just 2 attacks. You don't add your strength modifier or dex modifier to the attack. But it's 2 attacks, which means another chance to hit, which means another chance to put Hunter's Quarry in, or even another chance to crit. So it's really viable, and in addition, that's usually 1 attack per turn when you're not doing AoE.
Right. So that sounds great, but being strong is dumb. Nobody likes strong characters. I'm thinking that this Hit and Run sounds really familiar, as it says, you prefer to make your attack then withdraw to safer ground. I'm really liking this just ability to be where I need to be, and that also would, I'll say, kind of combine with that Circling Strike. So it would just be constantly having this ability to just move into the best possible position. And so that Hit and Run is I think it's a weapon attack, make a strength modifier, so just like a normal weapon attack, it sounds like. And then if you move in the same turn after this attack, leaving the first square adjacent to the target does not provoke an opportunity attack from the target.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can, it sounds like, do one or the other, because you're taking your standard action to do either Hit and Run or the Circling Strike. Well, that's great, because now I get the choice of either I'm going to have my beast move to a better position or myself to a better position.
Right.
So I'm liking this, and I can already tell, like, just looking at the damage and stuff, like, these aren't the stronger ones. It's basically just cool ways to change up your normal attack, but there's definitely some benefit to not being within melee range if we don't need to be.
Yeah, I'm just writing down the powers you're choosing.
Go for it.
In Roll20, I'm gonna be making power macros in your character sheet.
Ooh.
So it basically the entire power will be contained by the press of a button. You roll it, it'll roll the attack, it'll roll the damage, it'll tell you the extra effects. It'll have, like, if it says you impose a penalty to attack equal to your wisdom modifier, it'll embed your wisdom modifier into that macro.
Cool. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then, is there an encounter exploit? Is that something as well at first level?
Yeah, you get a first level encounter power. I think we should go back to martial power to get the Beastmaster encounters.
Sure.
Martial power 1.
Okay, so I see like a synchronized strike, I see enclose the prey, and so these ones you're saying you can use this literally once per encounter, probably similar to like a short rest ability in 5th edition.
Similar to a short rest, and you do take a short rest after an encounter only. In 4th edition, a short rest is 3 to 5 minutes, and in 5th edition, it's an hour.
Right. Okay.
So it's just like the equivalent of taking a breather.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, so what is going to be... I see there's a synchronized strike. That includes your beast.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that one, the beast makes an attack, and then you make an attack.
Okay, so it gets you 2 attacks. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. You don't get the extra effect because you're using a cat. There are some powers that get a bonus for the Beastmaster companion that you're using.
Oh, that's a bummer. So why wouldn't this one give it for the cat? What's their reasoning?
I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't say in the flavor text, I guess.
No.
Because this is like most other beast companions. And it's only just like extra damage equal to your wisdom modifier. So at this level, it's only like 3 extra damage that you're missing out on.
Sure.
Because it says if your companion is a bear, a boar, a lizard, a raptor, or a snake. So that's more than half of them.
Yeah. And where on the other one, on Enclose the Prey, it specifies if your companion is a cat, spider, or wolf, the attack does extra damage equal to your wisdom modifier.
Right.
So I wonder, just because of that, if Enclose the Prey is a little bit better. It does also kind of fit with everything else I've tried doing, which is the effect of before the attack, both you and your beast companion can shift 2 squares.
That's like an immediate flank.
Yeah. So you set that up, you enclose the prey, and then get the extra damage equal to your wisdom modifier, and the hit is 2 weapons, so it's kind of the same damage as both of you attacking.
Right.
So I think that one's going to have to make sense, right? I mean, got to go with that cat, got to go with the mechanically optimized choice in this case.
I almost spelled prey with an A as I was writing down your encounter powers. Enclose the prey.
Yeah. Super religious. Okay. You just form a circle around them and you just start praying. They're like, what's going on here?
Conversion.
Okay, so we've got our encounter exploit.
Then we get into the daily.
Okay.
Which is once per day. Extended rests are the same as long rests in 5th edition, 8 hours.
Sure.
Unless you have a fancy race power. But you don't, so that doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm saying it. Level 1 daily powers.
Gotcha.
So it looks okay. No, there are cat specific dailies for this level. They are a lot to read because daily powers are much more powerful and therefore a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, but looking at the one that involves the cat, just to start here, is the effect is if the target is your quarry, you slide it 2 squares and you slide your beast companion 2 squares, ending its movement adjacent to the target. If the target is your quarry and is also bloodied, you instead slide the beast 4 squares. Ooh, and if it's a cat, you can slide it to any square adjacent to the target. Which does that mean it like goes past the 4 square limit, or like 2 or 4 squares?
Yes. The beast has to be adjacent to the target. Because the range for this power is melee weapon beast 1. So at the start of it, the beast is adjacent to the target, but it can go anywhere next to the target after you slide the target.
Now that sounds great and all, but this also just sounds a lot like the encounter exploit that I have of Enclose the Prey. And since I'm going to be fighting right up against him anyways, like there's not that much benefit to taking this again. At some point, you're just doing the same stuff over and over, and there's got to be some combinations, right?
Mm-hmm. It can be. It does have its use different from Enclose the Prey, but Enclose the Prey is very useful, and it does the same damage.
Right. Yeah, no, I recognize that this is more about getting up to the right spot. I just think sounds like there's enough ways to do that now. Mm-hmm. So let's see. What else sounds interesting?
If you scroll down to the next page, there is Partnered Savaging, which is a beast power that uses your beast attacks it, and then if the target's your quarry, you shift 3 squares, and then you get to make a basic attack against it. So that's just a regular strength versus AC.
See, that I like.
Mm-hmm. So both of you would be attacking in tandem.
Yeah, and it's more damage by a significant amount. The Driving the Quarry one was 2 weapon plus strength modifier. This one is 2 beast plus the beast strength modifier, and then you get a basic attack against it. So it's another weapon plus strength.
Mm-hmm. If you hit.
Yeah, no, that's way better. I like that. Partnered Savaging, yes please.
All right, putting it down.
And it seems like it's so easy to make a target your quarry that, it's not like, oh, it has to be Hunter's Mark and, I might not have the spells or whatever. It's like, no, you can just do that all the time.
Mm-hmm. So now we get into the utility powers. These can have out-of-combat utility to them. Sometimes they work in combat, and sometimes they have out-of-combat use. I'm not seeing... Oh, no, there is a Beast Companion utility.
The Hearten the Beast and Pack Alertness, it looks like, both of those.
Oh, yeah.
So, for Hearten the Beast, with an encouraging shout, you give your Beast Companion the desire to fight harder. Okay. And Pack Alertness... Through subtle communications, you and your beast companion act almost as if you share senses. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, that one. Ooh, that one's actually really good.
Okay, so what's this effect? The target each make a perception check and share the better result. Also, if your beast companion becomes aware of a target, you do as well, and vice versa. And for the beast, if your companion is a cat... or a raptor or wolf, blah, 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 gain +2 bonus to the perception checks. So these, you say there's no limit to them, right?
Right.
So that's just
and
getting...
it's just a minor action to do it.
Yeah, so basically, in combat, you have a great way of finding a creature, which is, if they're like invisible, I don't know how this works, but like spotting them in 5th edition usually takes an entire action to try and see somebody. I could see having the beast do that. And if the beast becomes aware of it, it's got +2 to the check. And once it's aware of it, then you're aware of it as well.
Not just the beast, you as well.
Yes.
Because you're also making a perception check with this.
Oh, so you get to make a perception check as a minor action.
As well as the beast, because the target is you and your beast.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So everything's going to have a hard time hiding from you. Yes. Yeah, Pack Alertness, please.
That one sounds fun. Okay, and I will be organizing these powers by at-will encounter daily in the powers tab.
I believe
so
it.
I'm just gonna make it really easy. Right, on to level 3.
Let's go. How many of these do I get?
1.
Good. From now on, is it just each level you get 1?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's so much simpler. All right, so I'm just going to keep... Like, these beast ones haven't been disappointing, so I feel like I'm just going to keep looking at those unless they don't excite me. Then we'll move on.
So it looks like the first one is the cat power, Beast Latch. It's a melee weapon beast 1, so you and your beast have to be adjacent to it. 2 weapon plus strength modifier damage, dealing extra damage because you have a cat. Then the effect, if the target moves during its next turn, your beast companion can shift to any square adjacent to the target's new location as a free action. If the target is your quarry, it is slowed until the end of your next turn, so it's only going to move 2 squares when it moves away from you and your beast.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's like keeping somebody locked down. But doesn't, I mean, opportunity attacks generally kind of help with that anyways, right?
So you would... so it can shift while it's slowed, unless the slow specifies it can't. So the beast will be able to move even if it shifts. Move adjacent to the target even if it shifts. And if it moves 2 squares, both of you get an opportunity attack, and then your beast can move.
Okay, and that shift means that doesn't provoke opportunity attacks, right?
Right.
Interesting. Okay, that's a neat one. Let's see what's next.
The flavor text was, your attack diverts your foe's attention long enough for your beast companion to take hold, hampering your foe and allowing the beast to easily follow.
Cool. All right. Next, then, on the beast one is paired predators. Coupling attacks, you and your beast efficiently take it to your enemies. Okay, yeah, take it to them. Does 2 weapon plus strength modifier. Seems like a normal attack. Otherwise, your beast companion can make a basic melee attack against a target within its reach as a free action. Okay, and if it's a boar lizard, it gets extra damage. That one's not too exciting.
It's basically what your daily is, I think. Except
right.
You're making the basic attack as opposed to your beast making the basic attack.
Well, in this one, the beast is making the attack.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you meant. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So, all right. Neither of those is, like, terribly exciting, but Beast Latch, I at least like that ability to slow them if they're your quarry. Like, keeping somebody from getting far away sounds pretty darn useful.
Yeah, especially for your type of character that is a stalker and ambusher.
Right. Okay, the other one, though, that I'm thinking of is this Leonin Surge? The Lion Surge. Like a hunting lion, you throw yourself at your enemy in an attempt to land 2 blows and put your victims down. So it requires 2 melee weapons, which I got, and it's not as much damage, but if both
per attack, though.
Per attack, so it makes 2 attacks.
2 attacks.
Sure. So if both attacks hit, the target is knocked prone and takes extra damage equal to your wisdom modifier. If both attacks miss, you grant combat advantage to all enemies until the start of your next turn.
Okay.
Oh, that seems bad.
You grant combat advantage when you miss with both attacks.
Huh. That one seems like high risk and not huge reward. How bad is prone?
So, because there's no... So, you have a speed, and you have to spend a move action to do it. You can't split it up. And you have to spend an entire move action to stand up. So, prone is worse in 4th edition than it is in 5th edition. Worse for the target in 4th edition than it is in 5th edition.
Okay. I like the idea of being able to prone them.
Combat advantage, they grant when they're prone, and you grant when you miss with both attacks. That's a +2 to the attack roll, and if you have a rogue in your party, they can sneak attack from that.
Okay. So I think what I'm seeing... Wait. So make sure that I got that part right. The combat advantage, that part's bad, right? Because they'd have advantage against you.
When you miss with both attacks, it's bad for you.
That's what I thought. Okay. But I think one of the things that's nice about this character setup so far is that there's really easy ways to get flanking and to make sure you're in an advantageous position at the start. So I actually kind of like this. It seems like there's going to be very, very few times where you're missing both attacks.
Right.
That's at least the hope, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And when it gets pulled off, then you're circled around them. You're, in a very, very good spot to take advantage of this now prone target. So I'm going to go with this. I like this one.
Leonin Surge?
Yeah.
Okay. And it does have that cat flavor to it.
Yeah. I love cat flavor. It's like just fur.
I'm sure my Null character would agree with you.
All right, so then skipping over 4th level because that's a feat. Now we're on to level 5, the another daily exploit here.
Damn, I can't believe you remembered that. That was like 30 minutes ago.
It turns out I've got a mind for mechanics. So
Okay.
looking straight for the beast ones, we've got 2, and let's even look at the cat one first because it seems how they've been splitting it up. Oh no, there's just 2 beast ones this time. So the first one is Bloodied Frenzy, which is injury, whether yours or your beast companion's, provokes an instant assault from the beast that leaves your adversaries momentarily hobbled.
Okay, so this one is different because instead of being a standard action to do it, it's an immediate reaction. So the way immediate actions work. So opportunity attacks are not an immediate action. You get those once a turn.
Right.
So anyone else's turn, you can opportunity attack any or all of them. Immediate actions, you get 1 per round, refreshing when you start your turn. If it's an interrupt, that means it happens before the trigger activates. But the trigger is going to happen, so you get the interrupt. And then the reaction is after the trigger activates. So the trigger for this one is an enemy bloodies you or your beast companion. So after they bloody either of you, you get to take this reaction.
Okay.
And bloody is getting taken to half health.
Right. And the effect is when that happens before the attack. So before the attack happens, your beast companion can shift 5 squares, and you get to make the beast makes an attack. Yeah,
Right.
the beast attacks, and it does 2 damage dice plus the beast strength modifier, and the target is immobilized. So what does immobilized do?
They cannot move.
Okay, so what I'm confused on, so the trigger is the enemy bloodies you or your beast companion, but then it says before the attack you can do this.
That would be before your attack.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that actually sounds really cool. I like that ability.
Now, do note that it will get an immediate saving throw because this is happening on its turn. Not like an immediate saving throw when it gets the immobilized condition,
Right.
but it will happen at the end of the turn that it gets the immobilized condition.
Oh, that's a good point.
And saving throws are 10 or better on the die you save on a d20.
Oh, wow. Okay,
There's-
so this might only give you the
sometimes
attack.
you get bonuses. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, let's look at this other one. Lacerating Maul. Opening your quarry up with a decisive attack, you allow your beast companion to tear a wound. The scent of blood eggs the beast on. Okay. And target is 1 creature. It's a normal attack, and it's a hit, 2 weapon plus strength modifier damage. And then beast, if your companion's a beast boar or a lizard, which in this case it's not, get some wisdom damage and half damage on a miss. And then the effect of if the target is your quarry and your beast companion is adjacent to it, the target takes ongoing 5 damage, save ends. Until the ongoing damage ends, the target grants combat advantage to the beast.
So ongoing 5 damage happens at the start of the turn.
Right.
So if you start your turn with ongoing damage, you take the ongoing damage, and then you save against it at the end of your turn. And if you fail the save, you're taking it again next turn.
Perfect. And until you make that save, the beast has combat advantage against this creature.
Right.
Nice. That's really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think since the last one I took was kind of a risk-reward one, and that Bloodied Frenzy seems like it could be great, this one seems like it's going to give you a little bit more out of it. Because if they fail, then you're... And what is combat advantage given 4th edition?
+2 to attacks. All attacks against it while it grants combat advantage.
Okay. Yeah, I think this one's going to be a little bit more beneficial because I can see once you have this, then maybe you want to do your Leonin Surge because you've got the combat advantage and you're a little bit more confident that you're going to hit.
Now, do note, though, it's the target grants combat advantage to
your beast. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So that's not going to matter there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. I still like it.
Okay, so we put it in.
Yeah, it's still a good setup before using some of those other ones where your beast gets an extra attack.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to give yourself advantage. I mean, that's just... It's obviously not as strong as 5th edition advantage, but it's still good. All right.
Yeah, and I like the flavor of you attacking and then your beast tearing open like a blodying wound with it.
Yeah. That's some edge right there. I like it.
I can definitely play with that flavor.
Perfect. So we got 2 left. Let's keep it going. Level 6 utility exploits. So utility are the ones that can be out of combat, might be in combat. Let's go straight to the beast ones. We've got defensive posture. Puffing up defensively, your beast rolls with a blow. So this is an immediate interrupt, like we were talking about before. But then it says close burst 20. What does that mean?
So close indicates that the power comes with you as the origin square. Burst indicates that it targets every square around you, and 20 indicates every space around you, 20 up to 20 squares away.
Oh, that's a really, really big distance.
Mm-hmm. But the target is going to be your beast companion.
Sure.
Because it says in the trigger, your beast companion is hit by an attack within 20 squares of you.
Okay, then the target becomes your beast companion in burst. So, again, within that 20 square range. And then the effect is the target gains a +4 power bonus to the defense targeted by the attack. So
when your beast companion is hit with an attack, you give it a +4 power bonus to the defense, which could turn the hit into a miss.
Okay. And that is an immediate interrupt, and so that's happening, you were saying once per turn, like each individual turn, or...
Well, it's an encounter power.
Oh, no, it's a utility exploit. Oh,
yeah.
But it does say encounter. I see now.
Mm-hmm.
I see now. Okay, so that's happening once. That doesn't really seem worth that much to me. And I see
it's like a free shield, or not free, but it's like shield.
Sure.
Except it doesn't last until the end of your next turn because it's not a bear, spider, or snake.
Yeah, I feel like that makes it sound useful, but for the cat, I'm not feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the next one? Invigorate the Beast. And this also is not a cat one. No love for the cat this level. Invigorate the Beast. Your urging pushes your beast companion onward despite fatigue and injury. So the effect is the target regains hit points as if it had spent a healing surge, and that's a minor action.
Mm-hmm. So minor action, it's a healing power. You have to be able to touch your beast companion.
So you basically pet the kitty and tell them to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. We have decided to take the level 6 ability of pet the kitty.
And they don't spend a healing surge, they just gain hit points as if they did.
Right.
Because the beast is playing off of your healing surges.
Right.
When a power tells it to spend a healing surge.
Yeah, so you have double the health pool, and I put that in air quotes of double, but you still only have the same amount of I guess re-healing to give.
Right.
Okay.
But when you take a second wind, I don't think the beast also spends a healing surge from your pool. You're both spending one healing surge to heal both of you.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. That's cool.
All right, last one,
level 7, another encounter exploit. So, let's see if I spot a cat one. I do. Beast Rush right out the beginning here. You designate an enemy to your beast companion, and the beast moves towards that enemy as you strike. So this is standard action, once per encounter, as stated before. You have to be within melee range of your beast. Is that right? It says melee weapon beast 1.
The beast has to be in melee after the effect. The effect says before the primary attack, your beast companion can shift a number of squares equal to your wisdom modifier. So if your beast companion is away, it gets to shift into melee against this creature, and then you do the primary attack, which is the beast's attack bonus versus AC.
Okay. And then, on a hit, 1 beast die plus your beast strength mod. And if it's a cat, I won't read the rest, but cat, the primary attack does the wisdom damage modifier. And you make a secondary attack against the target. And so a secondary attack, what's the difference between a normal attack and a secondary?
Secondary attack happens after a primary attack. So it's just
okay.
indicating 2 attacks against the target.
So long story short, this lets you shift, so not provoking opportunity attacks, move your beast to within range of you, and then you can both make an attack.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, that sounds alright, but I feel like there's been a couple of ways that we can shift the beast. So let's see what the next one is. It doesn't look like the other one's cat related, so it wouldn't get that wisdom mod, but let's see. Harried Quarry. Your attack, coupled with the threat of your beast companion, throws your quarry off balance. So that does 2, it's standard action, same thing, melee weapon beast 1. Targets 1 creature, and on a hit, it's 2 weapon plus strength modifier. And the effect is, if the target is your quarry, it grants combat advantage to you and your allies until the end of your next turn.
So that alone, it doesn't even have to. You wouldn't even have to have a beast companion to make use of that effect.
Yeah.
Not saying that applies to you. I'm just saying.
No, I got you.
It's interesting that this is a power that you don't need to have a beast companion for.
No, it's more like using your beast to like intimidate them.
Mm-hmm. And then the beast power, if your companion. Okay, that's not.
Yeah, it doesn't apply. It's not a cap, but you would be able to add your wisdom modifier to any extra damage you deal, which sounds really strong if you have those, and that would be like an obvious pick. I still feel like this one's a little bit more interesting than the Beast Rush, though.
Yeah.
And, talking earlier about how making yourself look useful upon the first encounter, I think that type of ability where you're not just helping yourself, you're helping the rest of your party,
right,
is stuff that people look at and they go, oh, well, okay, I guess that's useful to have around, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Granting combat advantage to all of your allies. That's a +2 bonus to everyone's attack rolls.
Yeah.
Which is really useful.
Yeah, especially for an encounter ability. I mean, that's not just like, once per day or something.
Right. And it's interesting that most of your playstyle, it sounds like you're going to be looking for flanking, which will give you and your beast companion combat advantage.
Yes.
But not your allies.
Right. So this is a time to almost say like, all right, we've figured out how to flank so well that we're giving you all flank advantage.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, again, flavor-wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, is that the one you want to go with?
Yeah, that's the one I'm going with. I like it.
Okay. Could you say the power?
Yeah, it's Harried Quarry.
Oh.
So it just makes them all furry.
All right, so it's all of your power because you're a level 7 character.
Awesome. We did it. So this was actually cool, just to take a little moment to kind of debrief on it. I do like this. I think this is a really neat way of building a character, and everything else that we did so far was like the last episode, as we'll call it, the secret one that will never get released because it wasn't recorded.
Right.
That one just felt like a lot of numbers, which is nothing too crazy, but I didn't love the way that stats were allocated. Even just like skills and stuff, I am a bit of a sucker for proficiency bonus because I think it's just so simple and there's so much added because of proficiency bonus. But choosing powers,
Well,
go ahead.
Are you talking about scaling proficiency bonus, or are you talking about having proficiency in skills?
Having proficiency in skills, scaling proficiency bonus, really just the concept of the proficiency bonus as a whole in 5th edition.
So you do kind of have that same mechanic because your skills and your attack modifier goes up every 2 levels because your attack modifier adds half of your level to the attack.
Right.
So your numbers are scaling
okay.
every so often.
Okay, that makes sense. But regardless, just when picking like skills and everything, it did just feel, I won't say incredibly complicated, but whatever. My main point is that I do really like this way of picking powers. Though it is complicated, I do see the benefit of being able to differentiate your character significantly, because we could have two Beastmasters and choose totally different beasts, and from that get totally different like play styles. And I don't really think you get that too much in 5th edition. If you are two of the same subclasses, you don't get to differentiate past that much.
Yeah. In 5th edition, I kind of want to play a one-shot where we're all the same subclass.
And there's like some that can do it. There are, but...
Like Life Cleric, I guess.
Why would you all want to play a Life Cleric?
I don't know. It just sounds fun.
This does not sound fun. Don't lie.
It sounds chaotic.
It just sounds boring, but you do you.
I play Dark Souls for the torture aspect of the game.
Well,
because I'm getting better at it.
Yes, that's why everybody plays Dark Souls. You got love the torture aspect. Okay, if you're reflavoring it as a Dark Souls playthrough, and everybody every time they heal just says that they are drinking an Estus flask, then I guess I'm in.
That'd be interesting.
At least mildly.
It wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fun, but it would be interesting.
It'd be good for like 2 hours, and then we'd all get bored.
Yeah.
But
this combat's lasted for 3 hours. We're doing shit damage, and they can't hurt us in any meaningful way.
Woohoo!
Can we just say we killed it?
It's a war of attrition.
Yeah.
All right, so it is definitely well past the point that I like to keep these, but I was having fun talking about these powers, so it goes. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Before we do, just like to turn it over to you and make sure, is there anything that you want to say, anything you want to throw out to anybody who's made it this far in our 4th edition climb?
Well done.
Well done?
Well done. You did good listening to, I think this is a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, we're about there. We're 1 hour 40 right now.
Right.
And that's it. Just well done.
OBS
Thank
was
you.
Still recording. And my OBS was still recording. I didn't check that while I was doing the powers. Whew.
Good.
That's a load off my shoulders. And we're recording from Zoom anyways, too, right?
As backup, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all you want to say is just congratulations on listening this long. Well, I will say for you, if you are interested in 4th edition, then do track down Vale and see if he'd be willing to run a 4th edition one-shot. Or maybe you could even join us for this one-shot if you think it sounds super interesting. I'll throw that out. You can say no to that.
No, I can say yes.
Perfect.
Well, actually, I'll say it depends.
It depends.
I do have some people in mind, so if the party gets full,
that's fine.
I do have the right to refuse.
There you go. There we go. So thank you so much for coming on. And before we finish up here, I believe you owe me one promotion of our Dice affiliate, Metallic Dice Games.
I don't owe you shit. I hate your Dice affiliate.
Do you?
I hate your Dice affiliate because the very first time I saw your Dice affiliate, you want to know what I did?
What did you do?
I clicked on the link. And you want to know what happened when I clicked on the link?
Did you get 10% off your order?
I got 10% off my order off of very, very excruciatingly pretty dice.
Well,
I've got these nice metallic cobalt blue dice that have such a nice sound when I roll them. And they're so pretty. They're the best shade of blue I've ever seen. And they were like $30. And then you subtract 10% off. So I got like $3 off. And I hate it because you made me do it.
I did. It's true.
You made me buy these dice.
It was entirely my fault. And if you want to join in this anger, because as you said earlier in the episode, it's all about just pissing off your crowd a little bit, right? You can go to metallicdicegames.com and use the code MM10 to get 10% off any order you make on not just dice, not just metallic dice, but also dice accessories. And
it's a trap.
Yeah, you can just yell at me while we just rake in the money Oh, yeah.
You still haven't given me an apology, Jared.
And I never will, you piece of shit.
Fuck. Sorry, bleep that out,
No.
Kevin, Jared.
Anyways, thank you all for tuning in and, hearing about maybe an edition you haven't spent too much time on, or maybe you have. Let us know your thoughts, and if this by chance interested you in 4th edition, be sure to hit us up. I know I'm at least, my curiosity is piqued. You got me there. And, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.